Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Well, Super Bowl Sunday, because that game sucked. And the commercials weren't that good either. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. This is your weekend wrap up for the week ending in February 8th, 2026. I'm your host, William, and with me is the wingman, Brad, who is freakishly on time today, which is, I thought I'd been hacked. How are you doing? Hope I sound. I've been making some adjustments since StreamYard fucked up the drivers, whatever was going on with the sound. Hopefully I sound right. I spent about a half hour trying to test it out. There's really no way to test it out other than running a test stream. I didn't feel like doing that. Just too lazy today. Was watching the game and working on some merchandise and stuff in the store. I had the game on in background, and thank God, because that game was kind of boring. Seattle defeated New England. It was a 29-13, something like that. It wasn't even close. The score wasn't that competitive. It just didn't. I don't even believe you didn't get a touchdown until the fourth quarter, which is odd for a Super Bowl. And then the offense that New England put up at the end of the game was kind of pointless because the game was over. It just looked like two different classes of team. It went exactly how I predicted it. Exactly. I thought Seattle had faced better competition, was a better team, and they were going to overwhelm an inexperienced quarterback in Drake May and that team and that secondary. And it's exactly what they did. You watch these things hoping that they're not as predictable as they are, but it ended up being that way. The Super Bowl, if the game is any good, then a lot of times you lean back. If you're going to sit in front of the TV and watch the commercials, the commercials range from creepy to just not funny or just kind of stupid. At one of them consisted of a talking toilet seat. And I don't even remember what it was for. And the other ones, I mean, you had some trailers. We're going to go over some of the trailers. Project Hail Mary, something I'm going to have to talk myself into seeing. A lot of people are excited about that. I'm indifferent about it. Obviously, we saw the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. I didn't put that on the thumbnail. And there was the Supergirl Krypto trailer. There was a couple other ones, but most of those were from movies I don't care about or will not be seeing. I like Scream 7. I'm all screamed out. They showed one for that. I thought the trailer, if I gave a shit about the Scream franchise, it might push me to go see it. But I'm kind of done with that franchise. I'm ready to put the Scream franchise in. What's up?
I was saying, I guess I'll be the one talking about Scream 7 when we get there in about 2 weeks.
There's like 5 too many, and I'm ready to put Scream and Ghostface, who's the lamest fucking horror movie villain of all time, in the time capsule with Freddy, Michael, Jason, all the horror icons that they've just driven into the ground, overused over the last 10, 15 years, and maybe we revisit them in a couple of decades. But right now, I need people to be forced not to use those. Just take those off the table and maybe come up, with a new idea or two. So other than that, like that, the game was boring. The Bad Bunny performance was fine. I mean, I know it was controversial, but I don't know why. I mean,
yeah, because I didn't watch. Because I haven't watched the Super Bowl in a really long time. I mean, football is really my game. So fill me in on that, like what that whole like thing is.
Well,
about,
yeah,
like,
right. Like, people just
that,
have a problem because Bad Bunny, for those of you who don't know, but he's known the world over. He did a Super Bowl halftime performance, and primarily it was in Spanish, and then a lot of people had a problem with that. And then a lot of it got racial, and people needed to be reminded that Bad Bunny is a natural-born U.S. citizen, being Puerto Rican, and his heritage is as much represented in the American mosaic as anybody else's. And then there was this, I guess, Kid Rock was doing a counter performance because the right wanted that. It just got ridiculous. They made it more ridiculous. If you look at the history of performers that have performed in the Super Bowl, a great many of them are not American citizens. This is the first one in the law. I mean, The Weeknd, all these guys are being,
And again, I mean, it's like
so can't get any more American than an American citizen doing a halftime show.
Again, my regular viewing of the Super Bowl kind of ended like somewhere around when like Janet Jackson's like bra mishap happened. So
yeah, that was over 20. That was 2003. I remember that, and that was kind of stupid. But I mean, the Super Bowl halftime show, it got eyes on the show. It keeps you there. People, even Bad Bunny sells millions and millions and millions and millions of releases here in America. Somebody's buying the stuff, whether he's speaking English or not. So you know what? You get the biggest attraction, you put him on the show. I thought it was silly, and a lot of people made themselves look stupid over that. What else was on it? Like I said, the commercials. This is probably the worst year. Now there was one. I think the best commercial. The whole thing was the Ben Affleck, the Dunkin' Donuts thing. That was the best commercial that the show.
Well, I mean, when in doubt, always Ben Affleck with Dunkin' Donuts always makes sense.
But this one was different because he's done them every year. This one was his best one that they've done. It's when he had all these people were young. Ted Danson came out; they were all young. It was like if it was in an early '90s show, early mid-late show. I thought that was clever. The rest of them were just either kind of just weird or just kind of creepy. Like I said, I couldn't get over the talking toilet seats. I don't need to see that. But it's the Super Bowl.
And they
kind of lackluster.
When I was a kid, yeah, they just. I mean, again, it's like I mean, football just isn't my game. So it's like, I mean, I'm just not that big a like Super Bowl watcher, and like to the extent I watched growing up, it was mostly for like things like the commercials, the halftime shows, stuff like that, and maybe casually follow the game. And like I remember like they really got creative, like the beer commercials a lot. I kind of miss those.
Well, you got Bullet Camp from with one of those. That's where you first started to see that Coors Bullet. They did the Bullet Camp. That was the very first time that they had that on there. And then we started seeing it in the Matrix. By the way, I'm headed to WonderCon here in 2 months. So for those of you who want to support my trip to WonderCon in Anaheim, we will be covering it. Have my press badge. Got approved for president. Not for Comic-Con. Again, actually, it's pending. But
remember that when we put in that application and it's like, it was specifically for Comic-Con. It's for last year.
And I got one.
And you get the email. It's like, did we ask? I mean, not that we're ungrateful, but did we ask for WonderCon?
I sent somebody last year. So my app, but I fully expect to get rejected for Comic-Con. I have an in. I'm going to be at Comic-Con. It's just the fact that I want to start, getting these press access. I mean, I like having a press badge, but at the same time, I end up getting one, just not through you can't see it from me, just not through those means. But I'm going to WonderCon. So up at the top of the chat, pinned to the top of the chat, is we're going to start doing the movies again. So Chappie, I just need if you're in the chat this time, because you got weird hours and stuff like I do. When are you ready to do the one that you've already done from the last campaign? But we're going to start. What you can do is you can do your donation and put what movie you want, and if we can play it, then we'll play it. If we, for whatever reason, cannot do a watch party for whatever reason, you'll be immediately refunded. But for the most part, we've been able to get them all in. WonderCon is in March, so it's the end of next month. So I'm getting ready to go. This is going to be my first WonderCon, and like I said, it's going to be in Anaheim. Everything in Anaheim is expensive. You don't want me eating out there with the pigeons, fighting for breadcrumbs. You don't want me drinking water out of the sewer. You want me to have nice, clean water. Maybe if it, but yeah, you can go ahead if you would like to donate and put a movie. Like I said, there's most of them I'll say yes to, but there are a couple stupid ones that I'm like, I don't need the money that bad. All right.
RoboCop 2.
No, you click that link, Brad.
I shouldn't have to do that. I'm the co-host. I should have watch request privileges. Okay, that's it. No, it's like we need to start a union here on the Cyber Center, like for co-hosts. Getting that union.
Here we go. We just had a union vote right there.
No, we didn't know it. So we're having a union vote tomorrow. I'm getting this union started, and we are democratizing this place.
Sure. I'll be a union buster. What's up, Anthony Mazzano? What do I think about Iron Maiden album, Virtual Living? You know what? When it comes to Iron Maiden, Sign of the Beast and Summer in Time are the gold standards. Everything else is just really, 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 really good. But those are the two that I lean on. Those are the two that I first heard from them as my musical mind was developing in the mid to early to mid to late 80s. So those ones, Summer in Time, Sign of the Beast, and there's a couple other ones that I listened to that were unincorporated onto albums because I was listening to mixtapes and bootlegs. But those are the two. Not a bad one, but that's not near their best, in my opinion. Duckman, what's going on? Once again, yeah, there's your link, the PayPal link. You can click in the comment section. It has a comment section. Just tell me which movie you want to do, and then we'll have to work out the schedule. Guess the deities did not like New England and smiled on Seattle. Well, as soon as the matchup came out, I thought they were going to be, and then they were a 4-point spread, and I'm like, they're gonna win that game more than 4 point. There was no position in my opinion, where New England had the advantage. Drake May is the MVP level candidate, but I think Sam Darnold was he had more experience against better teams throughout the year. New England had one of the worst. In fact, New England had the worst schedule of all the teams going in this year, and they also had the face of Denver team in Denver, but they didn't have Bo Nix. They didn't have their quarterback. So I just thought that this was tailor made for Seattle to do exactly as Seattle did. I don't know if it was the football gods, maybe because people keep bringing up the Deflategate and all the other stuff, but I just think New England was just outclassed. They were just. That front line of Seattle just dominated them, and New England had some defensive highlights because once again the game was just they didn't get a touchdown to the fourth quarter. But I just thought everything that New England did, Seattle just did better, and I thought that going into the game. And usually, you watch these games and see, hey, you know what? Just because that's like I predicted, I don't have a dog in the fight, so let's see what happens. But it really happened just like every expert I heard said it would happen. So if you're a fan of defensive football, the Super Bowl, so yeah, if you are, yeah. Like I said, it was not poorly played too, because a lot of these low-scoring games are poorly played. It was just you had two good defenses and a second-year quarterback versus a guy who's seen it and done it all. And I'm happy for Sam Darnold because so many people have given up on that guy. Now he has a Super Bowl ring. Hello, all. I still need to catch up on my comic book reading. Me too. You're not alone. But tonight I'm here for my favorite composer and favorite film composer, John Williams. Yeah, happy 94th birthday to
4 years old.
Yeah, just recently retired. Just recently, not in the 80s, and he recently retired. To somebody who, once again, it's easy to put him on the thumbnail. You're talking about a guy, I don't care if you're in your 60s or 70s, possibly 80s, you probably had your movie-going experience shaped by John Williams. There's just no way around it. And when I bring up when I'm done, when we're gonna go go right into him as soon as I'm done saying hi to everybody. You're going to realize that during this man's nearly 6-decade career, there's no way you could not have run into one of his composings. Let's see. How you doing, Hosea? It's my birthday today, the 9th here in New Zealand. 35. Cool. You can run. Oh, no, you can't because you're in New Zealand. But 35. Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday. You and, well, actually, no, not you and John Williams because you're in another time zone. But happy birthday, man. Hey, they are not guaranteed. Happy another spin around. Seattle one. Let's see. Wow, halfway to 70. Congrats. I wouldn't want to look at it that way, but let's talk about the commercial for Siri. Was that the one with the toilet seats? What was it? Because there were some just weird ones. Listen. We might even promote it. Who knows?
By the way, Aaron, because I catching up on the trailers for that. Did you see Aaron in the from tonight? I see Purpose in the chat too, guys. Did you see in that trailer tonight for Scream 7? There is a very, very clear tribute to the Raid.
I'll take Who the Fuck Cares for 1,000, Alex.
I'll take the director who saw it and had, so I will absolutely be pointing that out when we watch it.
Sure. I'm done with the Scream franchise. I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad. I just think that there's certain franchises get to a certain point where they don't have anything left to give.
Just let Sydney have some peace and quiet finally.
I mean, they never needed them for the original ones to be any good. And we're not talking about some blockbuster franchise, by the way. They make decent money for what they spend on them. They don't make a lot of money. I'm surprised this franchise has got the legs that it has. Other franchises with.
I mean, it's had a pretty big gaps too. I mean, between 3 and 4, they had 11 years, and then they had that MTV show, which was basically a reboot. There was I ran for like 2 seasons. And then they finally came back for Scream, aka Scream 5, in what was that, 22? I think that was that one came out. So that's like 11 years from 4 to 5, and then and now finally just recently they're kind of like back at sort of like their normal sort of ebb and flow of like every 3 years or so. The Scream movie. They've had in the 21st century in particular, they've had pretty sizable stretches of time between each one.
And they lost me each one. I went further and further away onto other things. I just think that, like I said, there's a limit to what a franchise can give you, and I think the Scream franchise reached that several movies ago. But I don't, like I said, it's coming out. I might send some people to it. Might go search for it. But
I kind of hope they do go with that. There was talk about like Matthew Lillard was talking. He was like having fun saying like, "Hey, I just had a TV fall on my head and electrocute me." It's like, am I really dead? And actually, originally, apparently, the plan for Scream 2 originally was that Stu survived, and then it was going to involve like him breaking out of prison and getting seeking revenge on Sydney. So maybe imagine they finally did something like that or this.
Yeah, but it's like it would have been special when you did it when it was time for it, not 20 fucking years later. Have you seen the reaction from the internet from? Yes, I have. I've seen it, and I am caught up on the show. I like A Night of Seven Kingdoms. I'm just not getting that buzz that I got with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. It's not a bad series. Don't get. I'm not saying it's not a watchable anything. It's good. It's quality. I just don't. The premise of this show. It's taken me a little bit longer to get to that level, and I don't think there's anything in the Night of Seven Kingdoms that's going to be traditional Game of Thrones like stuff that really is like, oh shit, like the White Walkers or the Battle for Winterfell, the Battle of the Bastards. It's just nothing, because I know what happens in the story because I read the stuff before they even were talking about doing this, and so there's nothing in there that is intriguing to me, and I don't think they're going to add. Like, it's different once I got done with when we're done with the certain novels of season 4. Season 4 is the last of the actual Game of Thrones original series that was covered by the book, and they did things like that. They did things with the White Walkers. They did things with the Battle of the Bastards was not in there. The Night King. A lot of these things that they move faster than the books. They can't really do that with Night in the Seven Kingdoms because it's all condensed within a certain passage. The Book of Brothers and the Hedge Knight. And it's also different than House of Dragons, because even though that stuff has been written, it's basically being told from the point of view of people who are not really reliable or who are outright lying. Now, some of the stuff they've kept the same, but they do have the license to do whatever they want. I don't think they're going to do that with this show. And it's a well done show. It just doesn't feel Game of Thrones to me, even though all the familiarities are there. But I did enjoy that episode though, and I did see the crowd reaction to certain things going down. All right, let's see. Music Man, I love Scream, but after this, I want Ghostface to go. I want Ghostface to stay away, but I'm only going out of curiosity, not because I think Scream maybe will be good. I'm not even going out of curiosity. I'm done with this franchise. I'm not going to say it's quite Expendables, because Expendables ran out of gas literally while I was watching the movie. Whereas Ghostface, once I left, maybe 3 or 4, that was it. I didn't leave kicking a can. I didn't leave, wow, what a waste of. No, I'm like, okay, I've had enough. With Expendables 2, I was okay with leaving the theater as long as that was going to be it. Because like I would say about maybe 3/4 of the way Expendables 2, I'm like, this is it.
This is
wherever they end this, that needs to be it. There doesn't need to be a 3. And I wasn't even imagining a number 4. I wasn't even imagining somebody would fuck.
Apparently, you're number 5. With the Lionsgate doing stuff with it.
Which I need to see the cameras rolling on that and people in front of the cameras before I believe that's gonna go down. And if it does, once again, these are franchises, and this is a problem because I straddle the fence when it comes to sequels. I think as long as you have a good story to tell, continue to tell it. But you have to have some self-recognition for when it's no good anymore. And somebody in the Expendables food chain couldn't get that. And there's no such thing as going to the well too many times, because you ruin something that is special if the story's not there, if the quality's not there. Now, if the quality's there, continue to do it until you run out of story. But once you run out of story, fucking admit it and stop. And that's the Expendables problem. And I think we could be getting that way with Scream. And we're definitely getting that way with the other ones that I wanted to go in the time capsule. I'm not saying we never need to see them again. I'm saying we've seen too many of them, and they are not making these things in regard to what make them special. And they have to sit down and take a look at what made each of these things that you're trying to run into the ground special. And if you can't recapture that, it's time to put those toys away and put out some new ones and maybe revisit those in about 15, 20 years. So yeah, I'm not, like I said, for those of you who just enjoy seeing Ghostface get foiled every fucking time, sure.
Maybe that's the gimmick of this one, is that he wins.
But see, the gimmick is it's like I said, that's a problem. That's a problem when we're at 7 now. That would be cute at 2, maybe at 3. We're at 7. The gimmick's kind of old. All right, holy crap! We had a few teasers drop today. I was just checking out Tyrone Magnus' channel. I have never watched that channel. I know who that is. No offense to Tyrone Magnus. I've just never watched the channel. Let's see. Oh, okay. Did he produce the show? Dennis?
Maybe that's why it sucks so much.
It's Super Bowl halftime show?
Because you've got Scary Movie 6 coming up that everyone's gonna, I'm sure, pester me about.
The Super Bowl halftime show was for what it was. I thought it was all right.
Oh, Perp's got an interesting pitch here.
Hold on, I'm getting down to because once we finish these, we got to roll into these trailers real quick. Ghost says go away. Holy crap! A few teasers. Keaton and Wayne's. I saw Duncan and Bill's. Yeah, that was funny. Made me feel a little bit older. serial killing a guy over and over. Okay, and Adrian Brody had one that was stupid. I enjoyed Bad.
His performance. Question why it wasn't as Puerto Rico got statehood.
I enjoyed Bad Bunny's performances. I don't know. I don't know. That's a complicated issue, and I hear a lot of different sides from it. I mean, I thought it should have been because I think all these territories should be because you're American. Once you're born, you're American. Small Puerto Rico, you're an American citizen, but you don't have the voting. You don't have the type of representation that you do stateside. But if you get on a plane and land here, you have all the rights and privileges of an American citizen. So why don't you have them in your land? But I think there's a lot of I think a lot of it is political. But you know, it's more complicated than I can answer on this show. But it's a good question, Aaron. All right, happy Sunday, everyone. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that crazy stuff. Oh yeah, Jennifer Aniston. That was like I said. I thought the video. I thought that one was the one more memorable to me. But just me. The Duncan ad was okay to Jennifer. Well, it was okay till Tom Brady showed up as her new boyfriend. That was kind of stupid. But they're friends, so that was the gimmick. Is not only with Dunkin' Donuts is in Boston. Tom Brady played for a Boston-based team or New England-based team. So it was funny in that respect. But yeah, but the whole de-aging thing was intentionally creepy, and it worked because it was creepy. All right, real quick. Seahawks exercise the ghost of Super Bowl pass. Yeah, sort of, because the interception from the last one. But remember, they were the defending champions that year, so they won one. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like they were the Buffalo Bills. What? Psylocke Ninja starting strong. Clarify, where did I miss Perp?
By the way, Perp also, he just put out a trailer for project he's working on called based on the Guyverse. So everybody give that a look because it's pretty awesome. And yes, the Raid meets Man of Steel. I mean, how do you say no to that? Come on.
Hey, you don't get no mention on this show without you better click on that damn PayPal link. You want to get mentioned in light on your show for shit. The hell's wrong here, man? That's why if it ain't get that shit out. If it ain't Fat Burger, we're blurring it out.
Yeah. Well, that's not a good policy.
You're still not funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I think for it's also he's similarly blasé. It sounds like about it. And apparently, like they're still trying to get the next Saw. I actually thought the last Saw because I was actually really.
What was it called?
It was called Saw. Why is that name escaping me all the time? Because I really, really like the last Saw.
It was like Saw or something, right? It was Chris Rock.
No, that was like there was one more after that. That was like a spin-off, the Chris Rock when you're talking about. It was Saw X. Spiral was the one before that with Chris Rock, and then Saw X. That I thought, because for the longest time for me, I kind of always rated 2 as my favorite because it had like a haunted house sort of setting that I really liked.
I hate it too because there's a certain one in there that I cannot ever watch.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about the? I think I know the one you're talking about.
Not even the needles.
Really, because that's the worst one for me.
The needles is when the dummy, that girl reaches up into the thing and there's that check her hand. Yeah, I can't watch that. It's one of the few Saw traps I can't watch.
I also thought 6 is really good, and then X. It's like that might be my favorite one of the whole series.
I didn't even go see it because that's another franchise I'm done with. And
X is the first. Again, this is like. It's really interesting. X is the first.
That's the one where they're telling I know I did see that one where he's in Mexico.
Yeah,
I thought that was dumb.
Oh no, I thought this one was like.
You know why? He's already fucking dead.
Yeah, but
he's dead.
But this takes place before he dies.
Yeah, but I don't care now.
Yeah, he's dead. It didn't matter because it's and this is where he's for those of you who haven't seen Saw X, it's again, it's before he dies, and he's dealing with his cancer, and then he has these people approach him who this medical team to say, hey, we're working on kind of this underground sort of cure, potential treatment for your cancer, and it turns out that they're just scam artists. So something about like Saw. Whenever Saw is like going after like problems in healthcare, that's what's really good. It's like Saw's got some like stuff to say that's very very pointed. But anyway, so he because 6 also is a similar angle, but so he these people scam him, and so he rounds them up and puts them through one of his games, and it's the only one I think. Again, he's Jigsaw's always been like a very like morally complex character because he's not technically a killer. He's putting people through these games to sort of awaken their
make your choice, live or die.
Yeah, exactly. The idea is that he's while he's gone through, he's feeling like so many people are just wasting the gift of life, and he's trying to really kind of reawaken the survival instinct in people. But again, it's always been it's very gray as far as his portrayal in the series. This is the first one where it's like it really kind of portrays him as not even like an anti-hero. He's a hero in this.
I didn't know this movie, and here's why. This movie came out after, to me, Saw lost its relevancy. Had they made this like right after Saw or right before Saw, this should have been like Saw 1.5 or something like that. I didn't give a fuck at this point.
It is Saw 1.5 because that's the timeline to set it in.
No, it needed to be released right around that area. So instead of giving me Saw 2, give me this one. Or give me this in a flashback while he's still alive. Fucking 10, 15 years later, I don't give a fuck. Because I don't care about him now because I know he's dead. And I've already seen this philosophy borne out in the other Saw movies. So it was like, yeah, I remember seeing it. And I'm like, that's okay. It's time to put Tobin back. It's time to put, that's another one. This is going to be a huge time capsule because there's going to be a lot of people we need to fit into it. Saw franchise needs to go in there. Saw franchise needs it has lost what made it special. And that movie, Saw X, it
recaptured what made it special.
No, a day late and a dollar short.
The hell it is.
So, well, I mean, I need, listen, you guys make hundreds of thousands in some cases, millions in some cases. Do you know what a new idea is? I'm a franchise guy. This is coming from a franchise guy, but not all franchises are created equal. You have to understand. It's like if you're flying a plane and you got the fuel gauge, you just can't keep flying. If you look at the fuel gauge, and it's you're on E, you're gonna crash.
Budget $13 million, box office 125.3. They
okay,
are
so they're cheap movies to make. That doesn't mean it did anything for the content. How many times have we talked about movies that made a crap ton of money? Listen, what's one of your favorite ones to bring up? The Scream franchise or the Scary Movie franchise are fucking garbage, right? We have both agreed to establish that, right?
Exactly.
They make money.
So that means that we're getting more Scary Movie. We absolutely should be getting more Jigsaw.
No.
It's pulling off the same trick.
It's lazy.
For the same amount of time.
It's lazy. You can make $125 million on that type of margin with a new idea. You did it with Saw years ago. Anyway, just make Ghostface. Yeah, that's the next step. Because you're already running ideas by bringing him back. So why not? He's either going to become supernatural or he's going to go into space. One of the two.
Here's Perp's pitch for it. Next screen pitch. A Ghostface gets away with murdering and framing, but is now being stalked by several other IP horror characters. How well does this Ghostface know? Yeah, it's like that. That's, I mean, because that's like, I don't know if that's supernatural. That's maybe more like a little more like kind of like last action hero of like slasher movie characters. But it's like, that sounds, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like, where else can you go with streaming them? But that's like, it's like, and I was like, hey, like whoever's got the rights to Scream now, is it Lionsgate or what have you? It's like, yeah, let Perp make this. Let Perp do this one. This sounds pretty interesting. Like,
no more fucking Scream movies. We're done with the Scream movies. No, if you got to do something that fucking stupid, it's time to put it to bed. When you got to do something like that, that's your clarion call that it's time to come up with something new. Time to come up with a new type of killer, with a new premise, new town, new characters. I mean, damn. Let's see. Sure.
I mean, he went to space.
Sure, it produced one of the worst. One of the worst. In fact, no, I'm sorry. It is the worst, other than the remake. The Jason in Space is the worst of those movies.
Best kill.
And just about anything after 6.
Best Jason kill.
Yeah, but I mean, I got 6 movies from 1 to 6.
It's not like Jason before that was like high art or something.
Yeah, it was. If you understand horror, you understand the art of Jason. If you understand horror, you understand the art of Friday the 13th. And that's the thing. You have people who don't really either recognize that art or don't care about that art. Because if you cared about that art, you know what you do? Come up with new art. I don't need the Mona Lisa repainted again. The one we got is really good. All right. All you're doing now is graffitiing at this point. Let's see.
Oh yes, please more RoboCop. I mean, again, it's like RoboCop is like it just keeps getting more relevant with time. So
that's what makes it not fun, though. That's like people saying the Matrix is relevant now. Yeah, back in '99 it was special. Just because something's relevant doesn't make it special and attractive.
No, RoboCop.
We're living real life. I don't need to be that. I don't need to be entertained by the same shit we're going through already.
Like,
I got the
like
news for that.
It's like everything in RoboCop except the actual cyborg cops has come true.
Okay, so how would I sell that in 2026 if that's what we're going through?
People do that all the time.
It didn't make its money on RoboCop. Didn't make its money off of relatability. It made its money off of the absurd and ridiculous, over the top.
Yeah, so like, give us don't do PG-13 again.
Okay,
that's what that was the downfall of the last couple.
Yeah, as soon as I hear you're packing and heading to Hollywood, I need to make.
No, I said don't make it PG. Don't make it PG-13 again.
No, I'm talking about making it at all. Maxine can take the acting job, and I know you guys love those movies, Pearl, Maxine. I thought those were, and I'm open to that type of horror movie telling, coming from the Italian horror and all that stuff. That a lot of the inspirations for so many things. Those movies are fucking awful. X, Pearl, those were awful movies.
God, I don't.
Yeah. Did you see any of those?
I know I saw Pearl, or which one came first? Because they released pretty close together. Yeah, would you?
X is garbage. I'm sorry.
And that's the one of it ends with like the girl like making like the smile with the tears coming down her eyes. I think. Yeah,
Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega were in that one.
Yeah. So I know I saw them. I mean, I didn't. I dislike either of them, but if it's like they just didn't. When it comes to like A24 stuff, is like they didn't like they weren't like super high on my list.
Yeah,
Fast and Furious. That's one that's really jumped the shark. It's jumped every shark there is to jump at this point.
All of them have. Put that in the time capsule too. Much like Fast and Furious saga, people keep showing up for Scream because they've already too deep and they've tolerated so much nonsense that they just want to stick around and see to the end. That's actually pretty accurate. I've heard people that know they're going in to a mound of shit, but will go anyway because they've been there since the first day. Well, I don't. And that's where we are at with Scream. That's where we're at with a lot of these franchises.
See, Scream has not like gone over, just completely over.
It has in its own way. It has. And like I said, there's the audience member may keep coming back, but it's up to the creator to be like, hey, let's try something new. Like that's the same reason why you would have a Expendables 3 when you know sure as fuck at midway through Expendables 2 that even if you were enjoying yourself, there was nothing left. There was nothing left to go to go to a
series. But anyway,
that's fine. But we didn't need a 3.
Well, no, I could go. You just no. The fact that 3 was a step down does not make the change. The fact that 3 was
you could feel the gas leaving the tank in 2.
No, you couldn't. No, 2 was
if you walked out of 2 thinking there needed a 3, you're just a glutton for punishment.
Well, I walked out of 2 thinking there needed to be a 3. The fact that it was a step down does not change the fact that was absolutely the impression it left.
I'm not playing that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's.
I saw it because I was sitting here.
How did that go actually from Sony to Netflix? I'm kind of curious. It's kind of the same thing happened with Knives Out. Because I'm just curious.
Knives Out because of viewership, because that was a popular franchise that they
did well on Netflix. Okay.
Yeah. Clip Booth. I don't. Were you putting that in theater? I don't care if it's Brad Pitt or not. I mean, they might do it anyway. But once again, I left the source of this Once Upon a Time. I was all right. I did not leave the theater saying, "Wow, give me more of that."
I'm interested in Peter, because Peter Weller, as we're talking about a RoboCop, Peter Weller's in that. It's like, anyway, it's like, watch some of his more recent work. It's like, that dude is the coolest old guy in the world. It's
he
like,
did in Star Trek.
Oh, he's so crazy. He's like, because he could. Few people can like choose scenery like Peter Weller can. I mean, that dude is so crazy entertaining.
All right, the Odyssey I'll go see. Disclosure Day I'm definitely going to see. And you know what? The trailer I saw today, that kind of like, because I like Steven Spielberg when he goes big event. I'm not I know West Side Story is going to be a big sci-fi event, a West Side Story. I would rather eat my ticket for that rather than go to the movie to see it.
Theatrically.
Yeah, and there's no way I would ever or blow my time with some shit like that. Project Hail Mary, I'm still on the fence about. Although the trailer that we're gonna watch, it moved me a little bit closer, but it reminded me. I don't know why. It reminded me of a slightly, and I haven't seen the movie, a slightly lesser version of The Martian with Matt Damon. It just gave me Martian vibes. Maybe, because when I saw the trailer for the Martian Bring Him Home, I was like, wow. But this one I just got a feel of a Martian and Armageddon. But maybe, like I said, as we get closer to it, I've heard nothing but good things about from people who read the book, but books are not movies. Disclosure Day, I'm really looking forward to Disclosure Day now, and I didn't know what to think about it before because I hadn't been paying attention to it. Today I got to see it, and that gave me the old school when I was a kid, Steven Spielberg vibe. So I'm down for that.
I got a couple here for me. Brag it over the franchise. No, listen. The fact that me saying that I came out of Expendables 2, hungry for Expendables 3, the fact that 3 was a step down from 2 does not change the fact that 2 made a very great case for 3. Okay, there's no.
It made a financial case. But listen, you can hurt yourself if you don't interpret the math the right way.
Yeah. And they interpreted the math with PG-13. That was the downfall of 3 was PG-13.
No, the downfall of 3 wasn't good.
No, it was PG-13. It was absolutely PG-13. They did the math on this because they had the leak that happened like 3 weeks beforehand, sure. And because they had the lower opening weekend. But they ran the numbers on it and said even if everybody who downloaded illegally, that would have had like $3 million to the opening weekend. So it's like PG-13 absolutely hurt Expendables 3. But again, the fact that I came out of 2 wanting more, and then 3 ended up being subpar to 2, and I don't even think 3 is terrible. I just think it's lesser than 2. But that does not change.
Yeah, but you didn't have much to leave with after 2. It wasn't like you had a smorgasbord left over. No, this franchise was done with 2.
The hell,
and that's what happens. It was done. And 4 was a fucking joke.
Well, yeah,
somebody should have been shown the door, but it was probably they did it under the same mentality as 3 was. So, all right, the Mandalorian trailer reminded me of a joke. What temperature?
I haven't watched Mandalorian one yet.
Yeah, that one was kind of. I mean, it's like a little going through the sleigh.
The marketing is really interesting on Mandalorian for me. Yeah, it's just me really looking forward to it because it's because it's so. It's not like not Star Wars, but there's something really different. It's not like it's like going. It's not like an instance of like going from like something R-rated to PG-13, but it just feels like a tone shift in a lot of ways from like, and maybe that's just like attributable to the characters. That it's not Skywalker centric, but like again, there's I don't know if camp is the right word to add to it, but I mean
I don't know how they're gonna do this in the movie. I know you're joking, but you bring up Blade Runner. Before they ever entered production in the Blade Runner 2, they had 32 years of metrics on Blade and buying and people before they made Blade Runner 2049, which is to me the greatest science fiction movie. You were still in the process of making millions of dollars off of that movie because people kept buying it to put on their channels. It kept getting reproduced and reissued. You had metrics that can determine or over time. And you had a lot of time for those metrics to be consistent. So it wasn't just nostalgia for Blade Runner 2. It had a financial case. The problem with Blade Runner 2 is it was marketed horribly. That was the problem with Blade Runner 2. These other movies that I'm talking about, it's just they want to make sure that they wrung every cent out of these franchises before they leave them for dead. But that's a problem because now it's left for dead. And you really could have used those resources to keep the integrity of that, or go into something else that's kind of new. But and also the problem is we've trained the audience to not really accept anything outside of that. We're just going to keep kicking that dead horse, until we're sure that horse is dead, and then the audience is going to follow suit. So when you do get creative, when you do invest in something new, and the audience is like, wait a minute, you're selling me this drug now, and these franchises, some of them are going to have run their course. Nobody just wants to stand up in the office and say, hey, no more.
There is, as far as I'm concerned, if you can make a case that gets a green light for Scary Movie 6, there is literally nothing that should be turned down for a green light. If you can make a business case for another scary movie, I don't ever want to hear anybody tell me that something else should.
You're talking about a trash movie that never had a case of integrity to begin with.
Exactly. I'm talking about
here's what you fuck up this.
They showed the it was just it was a script that they.
You're talking about Expendables. You're talking about Expendables that's reliant on performances and a story, and you're comparing it to a movie that's a fucking farce from the day one of its concept.
Exactly.
Even if they made 30 scary movies, there's no integrity to protect there. If you started with Expendables, which was a fairly decent movie, and you go into 3/4 of 2, which is a fairly decent movie, you have things on the line that a fucking movie like Scary Movie does not have to lose. So that's a horrible comparison.
And so Brad, here's the other one for me. Brad, yeah, no, it was called RoboCop Rogue City. It takes place. It's in continuity of the movies. It takes place between 2 and 3. And it does a lot of really cool things with it makes the old man. It puts his brain into the body of RoboCop 2. And Peter Weller came back to voice RoboCop, and it was really well received. So
I'm falling asleep just hearing about it.
I cannot believe we're a channel called the Sci-Fi Center. We it's like RoboCop is like taboo all of a sudden.
No, it's not taboo. I just don't fucking care.
RoboCop. So yeah, and again, Amazon, because they own MGM now. So it's like RoboCops with Orion originally, and then MGM got Orion, and then MGM went bankrupt, got bought by Amazon. So now Amazon is the owner of the RoboCop IP, and they've, as of like about the time when the game came out, they said, yeah, RoboCop, they want to do both another movie and a TV show with them. So we're kind of waiting on that. I think, yeah, probably they're gonna. I think they're probably gonna try to spin it off from elements of that game. We'll see. But yeah, I was familiar with the game Drogon. Yeah, I don't think. I wonder when that joke's gonna come around here. It's like, I mean, guys, I mentioned the Raid on here a couple of times, and that becomes like Brad loves nothing but the Raid, and it's like, well, I'm talking about RoboCop a lot lately. No one's joking about that. Hello,
because they've heard of that. William, have you heard the report that Clayface will be pushed back to October 1st?
That's like the week.
I have. I don't know why, and I don't know if they're legit reports.
No, that is confirmed. It's probably because they want to it's a body horror movie. They want to link it up a little bit more directly with Halloween. So yeah, that's
they're not going to lose. Yeah, they're not going to lose anything by moving.
It's probably well, and also I was thinking about this a little bit too, because it was originally. Now this is not like talking like business terms per se, but Clayface originally was going to be released on September 11th of this year. I get it. I know there's no nefarious intent with picking that date. I mean but I don't know. It's like there's something about. I feel like that date.
The movies that have been released on September 11th.
I know, but it just feels to me like it's like it's kind of like if you can avoid it, and I'm not trying to describe.
It's bad business. It's bad business to avoid it.
I'm not trying to ascribe ill intent on that. I'm just saying
No, but I understand what you're saying. But if your event takes place on September 11th, then do your event on September 11th. You do all the things that you if for those of us who remember and lived through September 11th, then you do all the things that you do. You mourn, you go, you commemorate, you do all that thing. But you know what? Nothing should not be happening because baseball. They make sure that baseball is happening that day. So there's some football games that happen on September 11th. You get a moment of silence. You commemorate, but you don't stop. If your movie, if that's the best time for your movie to come out, then that movie should come out, because there's been plenty of things that in the 26 years or 25 years since September 11th that have come out, and then now you have an entire generation that wasn't even on the planet when September 11th. So it's not even a memory for them. If you were born on September 11th, 2001, you have gone. You're closing in on 30.
But they're not like removed from it in the same way that like we're like Pearl Harbor. I mean, it's like they weren't born yet, but it's not like a huge gap of time.
They weren't around for it. But even me, if you got something that's going on September 11th, you can still respect the dead from the September 11th and commemorate the event and still do your thing. We got right back. Remember, we got right back to the baseball and football and everything else. And every year that we don't. No one takes a day. It's not a federal. No one takes a day off. We remember it, but I don't think it's in poor taste to put.
Let me be clear too. I'm not like trying to like the initial date of that. I'm not like assigning ill intent or like insensitivity to that. That's not what I'm saying. There's just. Yeah, again, it's hard to articulate because it's not the kind of thing like you can really like write down on like a business.
Now, if you were doing a movie about something that was like a September 11th type of situation, maybe. But if you're putting up standard horror movie or standard fair movies, I mean, I don't think you're going about business. I don't think that's a way. You're not being disrespectful. You would be disrespectful if you were to release a horror movie like about towers going down and hijacking and stuff and bad taste. I mean, that would be something you may want to think about. But as far as just the standard type of movie that's come out, yeah. But I mean, trust me. I'll never forget where I was.
And I'm not saying that played a role in their decision. It's probably mainly they just wanted to Clayface being body horror, and they want to like just get it as close to Halloween as possible. It's probably the line of reasoning for it.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think they're going to lose. Okay, all right, guys.
Wait. You didn't read that comment you had of a minute ago.
William, why do we need more Batman?
We've had 80 years of Batman, so it's like Batman's about as like proven as any character can get. So
because you know why? Guys? We haven't run out of ideas for Batman. We haven't ran Batman into the ground and made it to the point where, people are like, "Oh, you again." We haven't done that. And the day that it gets to the point where we can no longer, we don't have that momentum, and all we're doing it is for a buck with Batman, then Batman needs to go into the time capsule. We just haven't reached that yet. We have reached it with these other things. You can see the diminishing returns in quality of stuff that they're doing with it again. It's almost like literally a Hail Mary or an act of desperation. We don't really, I mean, even the Batman movies that came out into the 90s that had justifiable momentum, and only one of those was good. So, and when we lost momentum with Batman, when Batman and Robin came out, and there was no creative momentum, we stopped making Batman movies for 8 years. And it wasn't until 2004, 2005 when they opened up the chest again to do it. So yeah, when Batman runs out of that type of steam, yeah. But Batman, you're talking about a cultural icon that is success is based on things that are not like what Expendables and Scary Movie and some of these other movies are based on. You're talking about something that is embedded into pop culture in a way that it will always be able to be represented. I can't say that about movies like Expendable and some of these other movies. Even the ones that the horror movies that have cultural icons, you've seen they've run out of steam. Look what they've done with Jason. Why anybody thought it was okay to do a Friday the 13th remake? Hey, and to me, if you understand the genesis of those movies, the Italian movies that they pretty much copied from to come over and make our slashers, it was as much about the time and place and everything that made Jason acceptable and made it fun. You're trying to recapture an essence that's just not there anymore. So I mean, and out of how you felt back in the day when that movie came out, and I'm like, there's a lot of shit that came out back in the day that I wouldn't try in 2026 because it was not going to work. So yeah, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, those aren't good examples because you're talking about things that are going to get the benefit of the doubt simply because of where they are in society. Well, I cannot say that about a bunch of geriatric dudes in an action movie. Yeah, this just can't happen. It's not a good one.
Scream hasn't gone to space yet, and it hasn't.
It's gonna be just as relevant. Like I said, these aren't blockbuster movies, and the only reason why Leprechaun survived space is because you had a boisterous straight to video market at the time that movie came out. They didn't spend shit on that movie. That what Ice-T made in that movie versus what Law and Order Ice-T makes was a huge difference. They got off on that movie cheap, and they made a lot of money on VHS and because I don't even think that got released in theaters. To be honest with you, I don't remember seeing it in theaters. But Leprechauns in Space, yeah, that was. See, Leprechaun got lucky. They fell into a classic that was Leprechaun in the Hood. Because the only reason why that happens is because the people just threw up their hands. They're contracted to make this movie now. There's nothing you could do that could fuck the franchise any more than Leprechaun in Space did.
And see, that's where I think like Fast and Furious kind of pulled off like the kind of inverted that in some way where it's like it went to space because people said, well, this is so ridiculous now. It's like you might as well go to. I mean, I think that's literally the reason for that is they said it's like there's nothing grounding this anymore. I mean, we can't untether this reality any more than we already have. So let's go to space. I think that's part of it. And sure enough, it's like, well, I mean, it's like it happened. I mean, the series. I mean, it hasn't gotten any more. Okay, maybe I should walk that back a little bit because X has him driving down the dam. So okay, the point is that it's like it survived going to space because they said we've already like
they weren't based. They went to space, but the story didn't take place in space. That's why they survived. Every single time they try to do something new with these movies, the old fanboys. Yeah, but here's the thing, though. At some point, you gotta let your balls drop on this and run your business because you don't want to get caught in the franchise trap of just doing the same old shit because you're afraid, that you can't build a new audience. You need to be able to build and recycle your foundational audience no matter what. You cannot rely. Star Trek learned this the hard way. You cannot rely on a certain segment of your fan that you will eventually outgrow. Hell, some of these people are going to fucking die. You have to continue to cater to a new generation of moviegoers, period, whether it's a franchise or not. But when it comes to all these franchises that they ran into the ground came from somewhere new. So it can be done. And they just have to be, if you're going to be ahead of a studio, you just got to be bold enough to do it. You can't be in that business and be a pussy. So yeah, the sword cuts both ways right there, but I understand what you're saying. Oh, yeah, Seasonal Witch was a scam. I think they should have got sued for that, but that's just.
Well, I mean, the idea with Halloween at that point was to do an anthology. So it was like the thinking was, okay, we told our Myers story. Now let's make Halloween like every Halloween is like a different kind of Halloween story.
But here's the problem with that: you didn't tell the audience that. And you didn't advertise it like that. So that was a scamish. Project Hail Mary, the Martian. There you go. I knew I felt something. Like I said, I have heard. I mean, Robert Bryan Burnett. Whenever I'm watching Campy Show, that guy talks. He's read the book. He can't wait. I'll go see it. I mean, I've gotten a new respect for Ryan Gosling after Blade Runner 2049.
When's Project Hail Mary out?
I don't know. I forgot. It'll be on there. We're gonna watch it.
Like I said, everything I'm looking for, everything that's on my anticipated list is like it's just unusually lopsided from like summer on this year. It's really, really weird.
I don't know what you watched today, Forth. I didn't see any. I mean, plus the streaming movies aren't cheap anyway. Depending on who's doing the spending, there's no such thing as a cheap streaming movie.
That's gonna be
too, I don't know what you saw in that trailer that gave you that impression, but to each his own.
That's gonna be on streaming.
No, he's saying Disclosure looks like a cheap streaming movie.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if he had his TV on when the trailer came on. I don't know, but I didn't see that. All right, let's see.
It's on June 12th. That's when it's coming out.
Not really. The Batman was not recycled. Batman versus Superman was not recycled. I mean, it was inspired by something.
Well, I mean, like that, and how much Man of Steel and BVS and Zack Snyder. I mean, Justice League. I mean, how much those iterations of those characters struck a nerve that's still being felt very much today. I think that tells you that there's still plenty to do with these characters, and will be for decades, if not centuries, to come.
I have not seen a new Spider-Man trailer, Joga. Did I miss something?
No, they didn't. For a Brand New Day? No, they did not. That would have dominated the trailers so easily if they did put out Brand New Day. And I was actually kind of surprised with, because apparently they had said, now it ended up being during the Puppy Bowl. It's again they'd said they weren't going to market Supergirl during the Super Bowl, but it's like, I mean, but it's this day of the Super Bowl. I mean, you're kind of arguing semantics there, I think.
Yeah, they're just not dropping. They're dropping it on their channel, which they own, and that's what they should be doing. Okay, hold on. Let me bring.
It wasn't even like a very. It's not even as long as the first trailer. I mean, it doesn't. There's a lot of stuff. It's not even. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that trailer, like Lobo and other characters. There's a lot of stuff in that first trailer that isn't in this one. I mean, this one's like
there's been no trailer, by the way, guys. There's been no trailer. We've got 2 teasers. Let's take a look at this.
Are we going to start pulling them up?
Yeah, we might as well, because we've talked a while.
Okay, so
all right. In the spirit of losing money. Hold on, I got it.
Why do these ladies remind me? I see them. I think this is like the Ben and Jess, right?
Hit the mute button, because you're giving a stereo sneezing. Hit the mute button when you're about to sneeze. Ready? All right. What is wrong with the sound? Hold on here. I think StreamYard is on. Let's see. The notes. Device.
Who are you? What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Krypto didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind. This is not gonna end well for you guys.
What's Superman like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
All right, so the only major difference in that one than the one we saw, for the most part, is the Krypto.
Again, it's like a truncated version of the first one. I thought. And actually, by the way, this is actually the first time I finally noticed that she, unlike Superman, does not have the S on her cape. I don't know why it took me that long to notice that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. One less of that ugly logo.
I don't know.
Not ugly. Not ugly by existence, because it's Kingdom Come's logo. It's Kingdom Comes. I'll never let go of that.
Well, I talked on here, but it's like at this point, I'm definitely team no trunks. With the S on the cape, I can go either way on that. It's like,
it's like, whoa, do you not know? I need the S on my cape so that you know who I am.
Well, I think a lot of that's also like for merchandising, because like if you just have the cape, if you don't have the suit, then it's a red cape, but you don't. So it's like to just really drive home to people, okay, this is Superman's cape.
I mean, it's a big red S on their chest. So, all right. So that didn't move me one way or another. I mean, Krypto. For the people who like Krypto and love Krypto and Superman, you're going to get a different Krypto. He's in a lot of peril here. I'll just let you know that if they stick with the story, something happens to him in this story. That's why you kind of see her laying down with him like that. And if it's consistent with what happens in the story, then it you'll see like a heartfult moment type thing
Well,
situation
and like,
over there.
because I have not read Woman of Tomorrow, so is on
What
like
the fuck,
how.
man?
But there's tens of thousands of comic book stories in existence. Like, I
You
mean,
can get it in the compacted version now. Listen, look at this right here. This is all you need to do. Next time you go to the comic store, you got the little compact comics, so you don't have to read the whole series like in long form. Here you go, everybody, right there. There you go. These are great, by the way. But there you go. This is a quick.
Well, now I see it. Every time I'm in Barnes and Noble, it's on the shelf. But like how, because I know you're not a fan of the character, but like how big is Lobo's role in it?
From what I've heard, now they say there are people have screened it early.
No, I'm talking about like in the comic.
No, Lobo's not in. No, Lobo's not in.
Okay,
no,
okay.
He's not in. He's basically a composite. They've taken a couple of characters and they basically eliminated them and put Lobo in.
Just giving him their role. Okay.
Yeah, Lobo's not in Woman of Tomorrow, which is fine. I can easily, having read it, I can easily see him. I can easily see them easily putting him in here, and it won't be, and it won't be a problem for the story. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and bring up the Mandalorian one real quick.
Yeah, it's my first time watching it, actually. For whatever reason, it's like I'm really slow to like get on trailers and they drop lately.
Hold on first. How's my sound?
You sound okay. You sound fine.
Yeah, but how do I sound on YouTube, guys? Because I know we can't hear the differences. I'm so annoyed. Hold on. Yeah, I just got to make sure because I hate going back and. Let's see.
They're saying you're fine.
Okay. Okay. Well, fuck it. Let's see. Here we go. Mandalorian. That's probably Clint. Let me know. Okay, yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Sometimes we choose our path. Other times the path chooses us. Through it all, we keep pushing forward, driven by a deeper purpose, guided by an unseen force. The bond just gets harder to break. This is the way.
Only in theaters and IMAX May 22nd.
Contract to Son Venganza at 5,000 souls. This is the original trailer. They put the teaser before the original trailer.
Yeah, so we saw that one.
Yeah, see, like I said, like this is like I don't know if camp is the right word, but there's a lightheartedness to what the marketing of this. I don't think they've really done with Star Wars before in the marketing.
Yeah, it's it looks like the old spaghetti western, which is what the Mandalorian was a lot. So let's see, Project Hail Mary. Hold on. I'm not any more or less excited about this after seeing that. I left the point of this the last season that they did Grogu or Mandalorian I wasn't that into. And to be honest with you, I just wasn't really, looking. There was nothing. The only thing I want to really find out about this franchise is what ends up happening to him, because remember, this happens before the sequel series. So I'm more of okay, what ends up happening to Grogu? I don't really care what happens to Darjan. I mean, it's just I don't know. I just don't know if this movie. I don't know how well this movie is gonna do. To be honest with you. All right, so. All right, so this is the official trailer. This is Project Hail Mary. Like, this is the movie that I had no plans on going to see until I saw this trailer today. So here we go with that one.
I understand that you think I'm the right person for this mission. I understand the stakes.
Object approaching.
If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct, including us. Dr. Grace, the world is counting on you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm Grace. I'm gonna call you Rocky. We're here for the same reason. His son is dying too. If we're gonna save our planet, we have to learn how to communicate. Check this out. We have about 250 words. Let's find you a voice.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Oh,
Nope.
why is a school teacher in space?
Try this.
I am Rocky. I like.
So I have a new roommate now.
Hi, Grace.
Together, we're pretty smart. But no one's ever done this before.
It is time go.
I think you're being go time, pal.
There are infinite possibilities for this to go wrong.
This ship wasn't built for this. Now!
If Grace Rocky saves stars, we can go home.
I think this is a one-way trip for me.
I will not let Grace die.
All right. I had only heard about this movie, heard about the novel, and I knew about it. It was in my periphery. I had no jump out of my chair, plans on going to see this. After that trailer day, I'm going to see that. I hope we promote that. Everything I really liked about two movies, and when I felt myself when I was watching this trailer, there's two movies that reminded me of: Space and was Space? Yeah, Space with Why am I fucking up the name? It's late. Martian and Space. What's dude? Academy Award winner.
Look it up real quick. I mean, Ridley Scott directed it.
No, not Space Camp, Jeebus. Fuck you. Not E.T. You guys, it's Academy Award winner for Best Screenplay and Best Director. Gravity. Thank you.
Drew Goddard.
Gravity. Oh, why did I say Space? What the fuck is wrong with me? Gravity in The Martian. That's what that trailer. That's all the things I liked about
I could see that.
Gravity and The Martian. And I wasn't thinking about this movie for whatever reason. I need to see that movie for as soon as I can. And I like that little Rocky, that creature. I've never read the book, so I don't know what happens. I'm going to refrain from reading the books. But that little creature Rocky, you could already see a relationship forming just in the trailer alone. And by the way, that's a trailer, people. That's a trailer. That's not a teaser. I know what this movie's about. I know that trailer for me did exactly what a trailer needed to do. I'm in. I'm gonna go see this. I was really impressed with that trailer. All right. What other trailers were there anybody wanted to see today while we're losing money and getting demonetized? Which ones we had that one. We had was there any other trailers that you saw? I can't.
Not offhand I can think of. This Cliff Booth, the Port's talking about.
I'm not doing Cliff Booth. Son William and Project Mary has a good song. That's a huge plus too. The trailers though. Oh yeah, Prince. Dude, there's some other shit that happened today on February. Oh, Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes was released today, back in 1968. I didn't put that on the thumbnail because that was just something I was like, hey, as a matter of fact, type of deal. But yeah, that's something when a couple of years from now, we can totally be that. Not a good week to be talking about apes. Just saying. Let's see. Now, when was the last good sci-fi movie? Shit. I mean, that's subjective. I mean, for me, the last great one was in 2017, and that's Blade Runner 2049. But other people may have seen a couple of ones in between. Why are we playing that trailer? I'm not going to see that. Well, you know what? I saw the trailer and I'm like, dude, it's Spencer. Why, dude? You could have spent this time on giving me Mindhunter, and this is what you're gonna give me? Ad Astra, I vaguely remember that movie. I know we promoted that movie. I don't remember what it's about. All right, so John Williams, happy 94th spin around the sun. And this guy would have performed until he was 100, but I think he's having some health issues. So, because I know he was at his concert. He was at his concert the other day, but he was not playing. Let's see if I can find a good picture of him. So, like I said before, it really doesn't matter what generation you come from. I cannot imagine that that you don't know this man's work. I just can't believe it. Let's look at so 1959 is when he got going. All right, some of these you're never gonna heard of because I've never heard of, but it just shows you the breadth of his career. Daddy O, Because They're Young, I Passed for White. Wonder what that's about. The Secret Ways. So Gidget Goes to Rome. The Killers. Killers was a big movie. How to Steal a Million. Planet Storm. So he did a lot of stuff before the big stuff, like the Paper Chase. I think Paper Chase was good. John Houseman. Jaws. Okay, so for most of us, the very first one that we're going to know globally is Jaws, even though he did Earthquake in 1974 and The Towering Inferno, which are smash hits. Jaws was that he was a composer for these other ones. It wasn't until Jaws where he started making that signature sound that you would associate with him and him alone and that movie. When you hear the theme from Jaws, we all know what that means. We all know what that means. And that was huge for him. He did Midway, Black Sunday, and then 1977, Probably the one he's most known for is going to be Star Trek. Or Star Wars. Oh, fucking old Star Trek fan and Star Wars fan going to be coming after me. Star Wars. Star Wars is synonymous. He created a generational bond with the theme for Star Wars that covers my generation, the generation before me, and any subsequent generations after. That song is known worldwide. When you hear that score, when you hear that song, you know what you're watching. And it was so important that when you saw Rogue One, because it is signature a Star Wars movie, Rogue One technically wasn't a Star Wars movie until it led into Star Wars. And then you hear the scroll, you hear it after that. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Fury, Jaws 2, well, Jaws 2, Jaws 1 and 2, Superman 1978. That song is so, that theme is so iconic that we got people who fight over that now. That song is so synonymous and so iconic to Superman that you got people who fight over when that should be used or not, which I think is absolutely ridiculous argument.
I'm withholding my opinions on the issue for the sake of the subject at hand.
Yeah, and it's the same for Superman. The same premise for me with Superman. Why I don't mind hearing snippets of it used in any Superman movie. I think it belongs. Is the same reason. Star Wars. We have different sub themes for Star Wars, different conducting, different all kinds of things. But that opening scroll is that opening song is Star Wars, no matter how different the stories are. I don't care if they go 9,000 years into the future or something like I would like them to do. It's still Star Wars. That theme belongs. Now, should it be the exact same? No. As things progress. But that is the thread that unites Star Wars, and I feel the same way about Superman, the Superman theme. And personally, I think the argument against it is absurd, but to each his own. Dracula, 1979, 1941, The Empire Strikes Back. He did the entire composing work with that, but once again, same thing. Raiders of the Lost Ark. These are two. I mean, and once you reach the 80s, it was. It was hit after hit after hit. Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. Extraterrestrial,
and the Indiana Jones theme.
Yeah, that's another one that has different variations, but dun, 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 that's Indiana Jones. Now, I don't want to see any more Indiana Jones that's not Harrison Ford. I think that is a franchise that is done for now. Put them in the time capsule. But guess what? When they dig it back up again and it's relevant to do again. I don't want to. If the actor is whoever, that's so and so's theme. Get the fuck off the plane with that. You start that shit out with that theme, and you do whatever you want after that. So that's another one of those ones. So he's got like 4 or 5 of those ones that are multi-generational. All right, Space Camp. I didn't even know he did it. Wishes of Eastwick, and these are all big. Empire of the Sun. I think he was nominated for Academy Award. Accidental Taurus. That movie won an Academy Award for Gina Davis. I don't know what his score did. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Born on the 4th of July. Oliver Stone. Always. Stanley and Irish. Presumed Innocent. Home Alone. There you go. Hook. I never got into Hook. I tried.
I love Hook, but I don't think it's one of his best scores.
Yeah, and plus the movie itself is like
the movie. That was my first one I had on when COVID started. It's if that's not a cover movie, I don't know what it is. JFK had one. That's probably some of his best work. Far and Away, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, How You Lose Your Kid Twice. Schindler's List was some of the scores that are in there really. They're not necessarily uplifting.
Yeah, it's just Sabrina, Nixon, Sleepers, Rosewood. Rosewood was a movie. Oh, it's another one of those race riot movies that's just hard. The Lost World. 7 Years in Tibet. Amistad's another one of those movies that's hard to watch. Saving Private Ryan. Stepmom, The Phantom Menace. Angela's Ashes, The Patriot, AI, Artificial Intelligence.
And then you got the Harry Potter, yeah.
This is where he starts to introduce himself to a whole new generation. Attack of the Clones, Minority Report, Harry Potter, another Harry Potter, Catch Me If You Can. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The Terminal, which is a horrible movie. Revenge of the Sith, War of the Worlds, which is really good. Memoirs of Geisha, Munich, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Cole. That's one of them I wish they had made. Adventures of Tintin, Warhorse, Lincoln, The Force Awakens, BFG, The Last Jedi, The Post, and The Rise of Skywalker. Television films, Heidi. Wow. Speaking of Super Bowl Sunday, remember they interrupted the Super Bowl to put that on there. Adaptations, Adam. So yeah, he did Solo. So Solo he gets Superman Quest for Beast because that's the same thing. So yeah, John. Like I said, I love the fact that I'm able to say Happy Birthday, John Williams, and not R.I.P. I hope you live to be 110. You're living a good life. You're 94 years old. You literally, there's nobody. We may all have differences in certain things, but we've all been touched by this man's music. His career spans so many different types of movies that there's no way you may have heard his shit and you just don't even know. That's how good he was. So happy birthday, John Williams, and to another 10 years. As far as I'm concerned. Thank you for being a member for 14 months. I meant to do a member stream today, but I got caught up. I by the way, sorry about last night, guys. Thank you for the support, Hank. I got caught up with business here, and I just could not put a show together.
Yeah, William, about an hour before he usually stream, he messaged me saying, "Yeah, that's what happened. So there's no show because that's why last night."
Yeah, that's why last night. And I'm just about to pick up get a deal because all the Absolute reprint. They're reprinting the entire line next month, and they're all coming out with different covers. So I was working out that. But yeah, there's just a lot going on yesterday, and plus, a lot of tourists were in town for Super Bowl. So Saturday, they arrive on Saturday, and they're probably leaving now or leaving tomorrow morning. So that's why I'm even open right now. Yeah, lead singer for died of cancer at 47 years old. That's I actually like their music. A lot of people will know them for Kryptonite. They use that song everywhere. They had a pretty decent career, pretty decent career. 47 years old is too young to be dying. But that sucks. I heard about that. I didn't get a chance to put anything together for him because I had already pretty much had these topics down. But yeah, rest in peace, dude. Just sucks. I mean, shouldn't be dying. But fuck cancer. You know what I mean? It just sucks. Let's see. Yeah, it means something. You're being hunted. I've seen that song co-opted.
Yeah, when it's like, and again, what's the big plot hole of like the shark's brilliant revenge plot in Jaws of Revenge? He follows the family down to the Bahamas. He's gonna get revenge. And then what again, William? What's the big hole in his plot?
Yeah, but Superman came first. If Man of Steel had to come first and established that brotherhood, I would feel the same way about that. But I think it's good. Like I said, I think each Superman movie should derive and flow into its own signature. But that one thing binds me to somebody who has seen a Superman movie, no matter what Superman movie it is. The one thing we would have in common, other than we're seeing a Superman movie, that lets you know that that's Superman, and that lets you know that regardless to our differences, there is that one thing, and maybe that can bring some sanity every now and then. I'm not the goofy fanboy that gets all possessive about, I can't believe that you use that on that guy. That's solely, it's not a tattoo. It's not tattooed to your skin. It is an anthem. It is an anthem that belongs to
You're
Superman.
really
That
tempting
song-
me to give my thoughts on this tonight, man. And I'm trying to let
that
William
song-
have his place.
No, that song does not belong to Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve is an actor that played Superman. That song belongs to Superman. Period. And I think when we get possessive, we get stupid. That is, I in all my years on this planet and in this type of fandom, that's one of those top 10 things. And we say and do a lot of silly shit. That's one of the silliest ones. And it only happens with this little circle that we're in. The general public, which, by the way, movies are a business. You got to get the general public involved because us 2 to 3% ain't going to float shit. So when the general public hears that, and like a guy my dad's age, and you say if we had, he had grandchildren or things like that, that is a generational song, just like Indiana Jones, just like Star, just like that. Now, each of those franchises have different variations from that point on throughout their movie. You know, so I'm okay. With that one way or another. I thought the vitriol around it was fucking dumb. I thought it made us look bad as fans. And it separates us, and it makes us look like those weirdos. Because once again, our dollar ain't gonna float shit. It's the other 98% that hear that song, and that's gonna bring them in, and that's gonna unite that brotherhood. That's gonna go see that movie. So yeah, that's how I feel about it, and it bears out.
And you get one night tonight where I don't go on my rant on that.
You know, you've had your rant, and it didn't make any sense. It makes fanboy sense. It makes 2%er sense. But in the real world, that where the other 98% live and breathe, doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It's an opinion that I can respect, but for the good of keeping these movies going and making these movies successful.
Oh, well, okay. When did it bring them back? When did the Williams theme bring them back? It didn't bring them back with Superman Returns.
So Indiana Jones has 2 shitty movies. I stopped using that thing.
Yeah. Well, that's a different character, though. That's a different situation.
It's Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and there's been one Indiana Jones.
Every Indiana Jones has that signature opening theme.
Yeah, and there's one Indiana Jones.
But when you bring them back, you would actually think that if they ever did Indiana Jones, that they're going to come up with a new song. Are you crazy?
No, but I'm saying is like there's one iteration of Indiana Jones.
But even if there were 5 Indiana Jones, you think that they would ever change that song?
But that's apples and oranges. That's completely apples and oranges.
It is not.
Again, we've had many iterations of Superman that did not have to rely on the Williams theme.
Superman.
But they didn't need to use the Williams theme, and they did great.
It's the Superman theme. It doesn't even belong to him anymore.
And again,
it's not a possession. It's not a medallion.
Again, this is why we have to keep waiting 10 to 15 years between Superman movies, because people keep wanting to drag us back to Christopher Reeve.
No, it doesn't belong to Christopher Reeve. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but again,
just like
it's
that theme,
animated
just
series,
like that
Justice League,
no,
Lois and Clark,
like
Superman and Lois, Man of Steel. None of them needed it.
To Harrison Ford. The Indiana Jones.
I knew I was going to go on my rant tonight. I knew there was no way I was going to hear this not go on my rant tonight.
That is such a singular. But like
there
I said, you have the luxury.
How many have done it without
that mindset? Because you ain't running
fine.
Shit. I hope the people who run shit understand why it needs to be there.
Yeah, and they tried it with Superman Returns, and it didn't work.
No, Superman Returns is a bad movie.
Yeah, and it tried to harken back. They tried to harken back to it, and that's why it didn't work.
Because there's been bad Indiana Jones movies, and guess what? If there's ever another Indiana Jones,
and there
movie,
haven't been like multiple incarnations of Indiana Jones. There's been how many versions of Superman have we seen?
This is that mindset belongs with the 2 to 3%. That's an That's a troll mindset.
It's not a troll mindset. Again, Superman the animated series, Superman and Lois and Clark, Man of Steel.
Internet troll mindset. We're talking about don't bringing up TV shows when we know more people watch movies than they watch TV shows. That's just
okay. And Man of Steel didn't need it, and it's like, and again, that did perfectly fine without it.
The fact that it wasn't there didn't bother me, but the fact that it is there doesn't bother me either. I just saw the diaper shitting that went down. Oh my God, they used the Christopher Reeve.
It's like, yes, because they're trying to. It's because it's just dragging us back. And we have to keep having these gigantic gaps between Superman movies because we can't move on for Christopher Reeve.
Are we going to be going back when we get another James Bond or another Superman movie?
That's completely apples and oranges.
No, it's not.
It's absolutely apples and oranges.
It's not apples and oranges.
It is apples and oranges.
Again, this is why it is important. Hold on. This is why it is important to understand that the conversations we have and some of the mindsets we come up
name one instance where they have harkened back to the Williams theme and it's been successful.
And we have in our little fan circles, they're fun conversations as long as you keep them where they belong.
Okay, so where is the instance? Where is the instance where they have like actively harkened back with the Williams theme to the Christopher Reeve era and it's been proven success?
You're never going to be able to prove that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't belong there. Because guess what? An Indiana Jones movie is not successful. I'm still fucking using that song every time I do an Indiana Jones.
You haven't had 80 years worth of different versions of Indiana Jones.
But you have one cinematic debut of Superman.
Yeah, and then you can have another cinematic debut of a different Superman who does not have to rely on that theme.
If they never use it again, wouldn't have a problem. But just the embarrassing mentality.
I mean, so does that mean the Batman has to be married to the Danny Elfman theme?
No, because you know why? Superman
was the
holds a
intro to
different
Batman
place.
for everybody.
No. Superman holds a different place in comic book movies that Batman 99 will never have. And you're talking about, when you talk about superhero movies in general, the kicking the door open, not always, not like we have in, obviously, when we talk about X-Men and all these other ones, but when you're talking about at that time, because Batman has surpassed him in the last 30 years, but at that time, Superman was it. Superman was it.
Rationals guy, super chat here.
Okay, I'll go.
William, they keep the Fleischer theme, and Batman Begins, and Matt Reeves use the 89 theme. Exactly. These characters transcend any one theme.
No. Hold on. I'm explaining that right now. Everything you're trying to compare it to, other than the christening of that song and that character, for the very first time in a cinematic platform, is not comparable to anything else. So you can bring up these other things. They are never going to be Superman 78. They are never going to be the first in a line of Superman that are on the big screen. Fleischer's was back in the 40s, and we're not talking about the same type of cinematic thing. We're talking about a what's considered at 1978 as blockbuster. This is it. This is the lineage. Just like when you hear dun 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 in every Star Trek series, that is because that first one had it. That is the lineage. You are now a part of that lineage. You're not the same as the very first one, but you are a part of that lineage. You are
I agree with you both. You both on the Superman theme, but I do feel it needs to stop. Exactly, and this is why I say this is why we keep having 10 to 15-year gaps between Superman movies, because first is you got to bring the Williams back, then you got to bring the Trunks back, then you got to bring Cats out of trees back.
Stupid. That's dumb. You're equating stuff.
It happens that way every single time.
You're talking about something that is a brand recognition. You're talking about something that is a brand negative. The brand recognition never stops.
Every time you do that, it just opens that door, and we just start tiptoeing back to Christopher Reeve every single time.
That's simple-minded fan logic. That's why you guys don't.
When does that not happen? When we've gone back to the Williams theme?
But you're talking about
every single
brand
time.
Recognition. You're talking about brand recognition. That brand recognition should never stop. Every time there's a Star Trek anything, whether it be on movie, whether it be that opening amble, I should hear that. Now, where it goes beyond that, fine. Now, they've been doing Star Trek for 60 years. And you're not going to stop the growth of a character.
Oh, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Again, sis, simpatico.
This, like I said, thank God that there's a ceiling, a barrier.
Again,
where this
every gap
can't get
is because first we got to have Williams, then we got to have Trunks, then we got to have Cats out of trees, then we got to have Lex Luthor with a real estate plot.
That has nothing to do, because you know what? You could have a director that doesn't want Trunks. I mean, you're talking.
Again, it happens this way every time. Where it's like once we start inching back,
you're trying to do the snowball effect with no snow. It just doesn't.
But it's happened that way every single time. Where it's like once you start taking like one aspect.
My bottom line is, and we're going to drop this. This mentality, this possessive mentality, across the board, has fucked up every fandom in existence. It has made us look stupid. It has made us look petty. It has separated us from people who use common sense when it comes to brand loyalty. It has made us look extreme, and there's nothing good that comes from that mentality. Whether we're talking about this song, whether we're talking about any of these franchise, any of these IPs, especially when you're talking about ones that have had their marketing extend over multi-generations. We look stupid when we do this. We look like the booger eaters, like the guy in the library, that you can never have a normal conversation with, because our mindset is so extreme and boneheaded that we could never have a conversation with anybody outside of a circle about this big. And that's kind of sad, because especially where pop culture is right now, it just makes us look dumb. And it's really hard to make fandom look dumb when it's as cool as it is these days. It ain't like the 80s. But this kind of thing really, really makes us look like that guy, that group. And it doesn't get any better as the argument goes on. So that's where I'm at with it. If they never used it again, I'd have been all right.
That'd be the greatest thing they could ever do is never use it again.
I completely understand if they used it again. I had no problem with a variation of it being used again. It's brand recognition. In the world of buying and selling, that is not the same as fanboy logic. It made sense. It was the right move. All right. Remember for 14 months. So I know they did that out here.
Well, that's probably that's trolling if you do that.
No, they were showing the Meg. Sounds better in ears. PC Jones John singer. Yes, he's God. No, it's the people who know what they're doing when it comes to these things, and it's not any one factor that makes the movie successful or fail. Just like I said, you had the theme in Indiana Jones, and the last few movies for Indiana Jones I thought weren't good, and that's why those movies didn't do as well as the other ones goes. But that doesn't mean you drop your brand. You just make a better movie. But you have to understand that, like I said, Joe Average connects with that theme. And that theme to Joe Average, the guy who I need, because guess what? Sorry, guys. If all of us fanboys stopped going to the movies, life was going to go on. So Joe and Jane Sixpack, who connect with that, that's Superman to them. And now I'm bringing them in. It's like a scent. It's like I'm cooking something good in the kitchen for somebody who hasn't eaten at my restaurant, and that smells good. I think I'll walk into that place.
Well, they didn't do that. Superman Returns.
The meal I give him is not going to be the 1978 meal, but I got him in, didn't I? Got him to give me a shot. It's just a type of mentality that, like I said, we don't give credence to because we get possessive about these things. And the last thing you need to do, fandoms are ruined by that, and not just Superman fandoms. Star Trek fandoms have been ruined by that. Star Wars fandom is being ruined by that. This pearl clutching bullshit is really. It makes the stuff not fun sometimes. You know what I mean? Have you been watching the ice hockey? No, I have. I haven't watched anything in the Olympics yet. I'm not an Olympic guy. I'm going to watch hockey because I know U.S. won 5-1. I will watch hockey when we get to the medal stages and stuff. Outside of that, and you know what? I watched that curling shit where they're doing the thing in the rock and they're doing the little squeegee thing just because it's so ridiculous. I had to watch. Other than that, I don't watch figure skating. I don't watch any of that stuff. I don't watch skiing. I'm not a winter sports guy. I'm not anything you have to wait for it to snow to do is you got to wait for bad weather to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not into it. I'm barely into the summer games anymore. So yeah, no, I have not been watching the Olympics, but I will watch if USA makes the final. I'll watch that. But yeah, let's see. Brad explaining the evolution of Superman's themes like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Wait, where's that?
It's right above the super chat. Did I get this already?
Yeah, you got that already.
Okay, yeah, I did just say that. Yeah. Now, but to your question, though, Rational, if 1978 rolled around and Batman 89 was that one from that era of movie making when we didn't have all these things, and that was what every generation going up to that point would associate, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Now, where I did have a problem is when they did the Justice League thing, because you weren't doing that. That was more of a gimmick. But if you made if I would have been watching the Batman and I heard like a note of it, I wouldn't have gotten up and walked out of the theater. But here's the thing, then that's a drastically different movie. Michael Giacchino did a great job. But you know what? It wasn't like I was going to not have his score for the Batman. You know, it's not like I had, I would have someone else's score. But if you go in Indiana Jones, they're all conducted differently. Even some of the stuff that John Williams does that he gets credit for, he does the signature parts of it because that's brand recognition.
Well, and then it's like somebody else scoring.
Yeah,
but Rational
So
Rational, to your point, it's like my thing. It's like I would like the world to have more Superman movies, not fewer. And the reason we have fewer is because we keep having to go back to the Williams theme because all that does is just drag us back to Christopher Reeve more and more every single time.
Does the James Bond themes drag me back to Sean Connery?
We don't have 80 years of Bond of radically different interpretations of Bond.
We have Bond. We have more Bond than we ever have Superman, and we have more Bond movies long before. Bond movies were coming out in the 60s. We didn't get a Superman movie on a cinematic basis till the late 70s. So
and again, we had Superman before that. We had it after. You've had like you've said with like Kingdom Come. It's like we had a multiverse of Superman.
Your argument to cinematic breakthrough. Cinematic.
And again, after the Reeve era, I mean, when's the last time that using the Williams theme was attached to a successful movie?
You're doing the fanboy thing again. It's the Superman era.
Yeah, that era. And then when was the last time cinematically it was attached to a successful Superman movie?
So why didn't I stop using the James Bond thing?
Because you didn't have like a era where it's like, okay, Bond started flopping.
But see, that's because the fanboy logic tattoos these things to a particular actor. I think that's dumb, personally. And that's why
I want more Superman movies, not fewer. And
that has no relation to that. That has no relation. No, it doesn't. That has no relation.
This is why there's these huge gaps between them, because
you got so many boneheaded CEOs and idiots that
as soon as that seed gets planted, where it's like we have to like harken this back to Reeve, it plays out that way every time.
You can't let go of Reeve. Johnny Sixpack is going to hear Superman. See, the fanboy tattoos the thing and clutches the pearls. Johnny Average is going to connect that to a much more.
Again, if that were the case, then Superman Returns would have been a breakout hit.
It's a bad movie. The bad movie. See, you.
And then Justice League Theatrical would have been a bigger hit because that had Reeve and Williams.
I repeat, a bad movie. You're talking about things that fail because they sucked. All right,
because they keep trying to drag us back to the past.
That is
I want to move forward.
Thick skull argument. Those movies, Justice League 2017 failed because of the sound score. Fuck no, that movie failed because it sucked. All right.
Well, yeah, it sucked, but it's again that was part of the reason.
No, that is it.
That was the reason it sucked.
That is the beginning. That is the end. Doesn't matter what score.
In fact, that's the epicenter of why
Hans Zimmer. You could have had Hans Zimmer scoring every syllable of that. Justice League 2017 sucked.
No, that's why the movie failed. That's the epicenter of why it sucked. Because what did we hear nonstop after Man of Steel BVS? This is not enough like Christopher Reeve. And what did they try to do? Make it more like Christopher Reeve.
You're in an atmosphere that is not relevant to the other 98%. This is what I mean. You're not having a bad argument here. You're having one that is not relevant.
Again, where is this track record of success of like harking back to Reeve via the Williams theme?
You're trying to give a track record of not success that is not even applicable to what you're talking about. There are so many reasons why some of these movies you bring up fail that have nothing to do with stuff. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to.
It's in the DNA of the failure because it's a part of the logic of we have to take it back to Reeve.
It's like I'm talking Klingon to.
I
have lost my ability to speak fanboy, even though I am one. There's a certain segment of fanboy that is literally speaking a different language.
Sonov's got a good one here. Henry's, and as much as I love that cameo and I really enjoyed the movie, it's like, again, I had to kind of bite my tongue and
and we had. I think it was on Point Exchange when they were arguing about this, and I'm like, wow. As soon as I step out of this circle and into the real world where real money is spent and real brands are established, this conversation sinks to the bottom of the ocean. It was a dumb argument then.
Again, more Superman movies, less. Choose your path, guys.
Executives, at least the good ones. The good ones.
The good ones.
You're having these conversations.
When is the track record of John Williams?
I'm sorry to say this to an executive or a movie maker. When you're having a conversation going forward for the betterment of the project, exclude us. This is why.
Yeah.
This is why we're the 2 to 3%. This is why we're the 2 to 3%. All right.
Brad hates. No, I don't have. In fact, I'm way more excited for that than William is. I know I saw your comment floating a little bit in there, Drogue. I just didn't get a chance to pull it up. But no, I'm looking forward to Street Fighter. I'm definitely looking forward to Street Fighter. I've got a little bit of like, again, like the fact that the previous iteration kind of like, for reasons that are really nobody's fault, didn't really get to fulfill its plans. That kind of a bit salty about that. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Street Fighter.
Fandom sucks balls now. Yeah, I wish we could go back.
Well, yeah, but back then we were
when
getting
all
shoved
this
in the
stuff
lockers
wasn't,
for liking it.
so mainstream and more united. Yeah, I don't know about that because I have some scars from that.
Well, I know. I think William. I don't know. I don't think anybody was like shoving William in the lockers. I mean, he was the nerd that they were leaving alone.
They were trying. You outnumbered the text, but yeah, it only took getting one of them. Once you crack the skull of one guy, usually the other people are like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah.
How
big were you when you were like 16, man?
I was 6'1".
Okay, because I was.
Yeah, I only grew.
I didn't get to where I am now, size build wise. So I was about 20.
Jalen, I think that the problem where we could come to that assertion is because of the conversation that we have within our bubble. I think the resurrection of any of these franchises is going to be done with the general audience. The hardcore
and by the
audience
way,
is going to make up their mind, one way or another.
You got this backwards, man. Because Star Wars fandom really should be in the Beyond Anything one column.
Well, yeah, I mean, but when you have like old Trek fan, and then you have old Trek, you have the people, the Pearl Clutchers, and the Star Wars fans. The majority of people are where we have to have these conversations. If you're going to get better and resurrect anything, it has to be made new and accessible to the other 98% of the population. They're the ones that are going to keep this alive. That's why when there are certain changes in franchises that aren't necessarily what I would go for, I'm like, they have me already. They've had me for years. When Star Trek wants to do something new and innovative that's not necessarily along the vein that me or my dad were watching, I have to understand that unless I want this to die, I need new people to embrace it and take it in there. That we had our era. All right, if you've been watching Star Trek, and if you since it came on or since you were born, you've had more Trek than you could eat sometimes. It doesn't always have to be, and that's where fanboy logic hurts us. Fanboys, we think that everything has to be for us or it's bad. Or if something is seen from a point of view of somebody coming in, it's bad. And none of this stuff is so sacred that it can't be adjusted to grow it. I don't want Star Trek to die and just be a bunch of old Trek fans and us talking about the good old days. No, I want to see it grow. I want to see where it's taken. Same thing with Star Wars. While I'm still on this earth, I maybe I'll get some shit that's not in the Skywalker cul-de-sac. I mean,
well, you're about to Mandalorian.
That's the Skywalker cul-de-sac. We're still dealing with that same generation of characters. I'm talking about 4,000 years ahead or behind. That's where I want to be, and I'm willing to wait. But you can't run these franchises like a fan, because we don't want to let go. We don't want to let people in, because if you let people into the fandom, then it's going to change, and we don't want that change. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, nothing new in Star Trek is gonna change the next generation for me. It's not gonna change Voyager. I'm not gonna like any of those lists. I might watch something that Star Trek puts out, and I might not like it, and I just won't watch it. I did that with Lower Decks. I looked at it. It wasn't the type of Trek that clicked for me. Other people enjoyed it. I let it go. Because you need the new people bringing it in, and that brought in people who weren't necessarily generational Trek fans. And that's the same thing. Your branding has to be aimed towards the majority, not the extremists, not us. How we feel about a particular song doesn't mean shit. It's how Johnny Sixpack thinks about that song. And does that person resonate with that brand? And especially when it comes to sound, especially when it comes to music, there are iconic sounds and music that like you guys will hear, like, when a sports score comes over on ESPN. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. That is iconic. That has been around for years, and it'll be around forever. It's not going to change. Now, everything about it will change, but those colors will not change. Those sounds will not change, and they shouldn't change. That's what branding is. Now, if I was watching, ESPN back in the day when they had a different theme or something like that, or they changed it, and I'm like, wait a minute, how can they change their thing, or how come they're using that it's the same thing. You may not think of it that way because you're not letting the lasso from the fanboy horse go. You're thinking of it, and a lot of people think of it as it's theirs or it's his or belongs to him. No, it belongs to whoever recognizes it. And if you have something that's recognizable like that, or brand like that, you use it. You alter, you adjust. But when you get the opportunity, you use it. And I'm not even of the extremist opinion of it. I'm okay if you don't decide, because I don't need to I'm going to go see every Superman movie, no matter what the sound is, because I'm a fucking geek. I'm a hopeless geek. I'm a nerd. But I do not represent the majority of moviegoers. I do not represent the majority of pop culture people. I'm a very low percentage. So you aiming at me and pleasing me it's not going to get you shit. I'll be there for you. But you need everybody else. You need the people who will be drawn to the sound by that recognition. Is it always going to work? No. Doesn't mean you give it up or you try. You adjust. That's another thing. Is people just, everybody, if something goes wrong, just blow it up, tear it up, got to start over. No, make adjustments. Make adjustments. So, yeah, our fandom is going to be, the saviors of our fandom, any of these fandoms are people who are currently not in the fandom, to be honest with you. All these fandoms need new blood and people who haven't been screaming at each other for years. Let's see. All the Star Wars scores are composed by the GOAT, no matter what you think of any of the other 9 Star Wars films. The music remains a constant. Yeah. And every one that comes out. It's like Highlander. What I got to tell you guys about Highlander? Queen is as much part of the Highlander brand as anything else. Even the people you brought in new, even the brand new people, they watched that show. They've seen this movie. Some of them didn't even know who Queen was. That's probably the first Queen that they heard. And if I'm sitting, like I said, I don't think I'm going to walk out of. It's not like Argyle. I don't think it'll be.
They'd have to try pretty hard to make this another Highlander.
It would have to be like. It would have to be Howard the Duck comes out of here with a sword or something like that. However, I think you're in Highlander's a different thing because it's not as big as Superman.
Well, yeah, the other thing about it, the thing with Highlander too, is they've had the franchise, other than the first movie and the TV show, frankly has a pretty abysmal record since other than those. So it's almost like they got this blueprint of what not to do.
Yeah, well, you've had it both ways. I am anti precipitation damage. How about that, Clint?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. In fact, what's the weather like right there right now? Have you had to deal with much rain there?
Oh, it's been perfect. It's been in the 70s. We got some rain coming like next Wednesday for a little bit.
We got some. I think I mentioned we got some because it got really cold here the last week and a half. It got down to like 21. We got some got a little bit of snow, which doesn't happen too often in my neck of the woods.
Oh, I'm not blaming you anyway. No, it's wind. It's the Superman theme, and plus you're talking about almost a decade difference between. You're talking a decade difference between, over a decade, 11 years between the release of Superman the motion picture and Batman. And here's another thing that has happened in between those two movies. The soundtracks took off. Because the MTV era brought you soundtracks. Your musical score started to take a secondary seat, to some movies. Like Batman actually has a soundtrack and a sound score. But as far as in the 80s, we ended up having a lot of songs that were associated with movies. Whereas, so in Superman 78, we didn't have a video by Kenny Loggins or something like that, saying, look in the sky. But by the time 1984 and 1985 and 1986, we had Eye of the Tiger. We had Take My Breath Away. We had Highway Through. So the world changed, but that standard was established in 1978, and there was never anything done with Superman as far as that you didn't have needle drops. You didn't have that. It was the score. And there are certain handful of movies that it's only been the score. But your moviegoers that came through the 80s were subjected to different things. Like Star Wars will never have, didn't have a Cyndi Lauper song going through it or something like that. Whereas the Goonies did. See, it's just a different type of movie too. But it's also a different era of movie. The 70s, late 70s and late 80s were almost like two different universes. So, and you guys see, when we say, which is why we see John Stamos, that is not common though. That is common amongst us. That is not when Joe Average hears that song, they think Superman. When we hear that song, we think Christopher Reeves. 3% versus the 98, 97%. If you're running a business, what do? You
don't make another Superman Returns, which use that theme. That's what you do.
No, you know what you do? You don't make another Superman Returns with a stupid premise and a bad movie. That's what you do.
Axel, he is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just hadn't brought up your comment yet, Droga. But
I didn't bring it up because wasn't really excited.
Hey,
about
Brett.
that,
Oh yeah, I saw you post about this. I'm probably share this a little bit later. Shaw Baby Assassins. I actually haven't watched the TV show all the way through yet, so I need to finish that up. But yeah, again, the documentary too. But yes, love that series. I get the premise of Baby Assassins. It's a Japanese series. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's the shorthand I get for it is the idea that what if John Wick were like two Japanese college girls? It's kind of like the best way I could describe it.
Okay, moving on.
All that being said, I'm glad they used the Williams scene. Exactly.
But here's the thing, though.
And that version is going to stand the test of time on its own.
Not really. You don't know that.
It already has. It's like
okay.
we made it 13 years, and it's like look at the impact it's made.
Outside your own skull. What it means to us and you, that's great. I wish 3% could carry the world. It's not going to.
I mean, it made more than the last. It made more. You had 3 Superman movies. We had 3 theatrical Superman movies this century. That one made the most out of all of them. That put the most butts in the seats.
You know.
And that one didn't use the Williams theme.
That equation is just not valid. It's just not. It's a fanboy argument. That would only resonate with another fanboy.
I mean, math is math.
No, it's not, because you're trying to use raw numbers, and you're not. Math and common sense go hand in hand. Why don't use some of that in your math?
Oh yeah, Aaron, I've also been meaning to watch The Rip with the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon movie.
No offense to Aaron, but you can't bring up other people's comments. If people are gonna just think you're only bringing.
Well, yeah, but again, we're simpatico. Once like we don't even need a DNA test.
Simpatico shit. You got there's other people.
We don't need a DNA test. It's like
William is the only. Okay, hold on. It's only for us to get fans.
Is the only way. I think it means the only way to get new fans in any fandom is to say to hell with the old fans.
No, but the old people are gonna have to fucking grow up. Us old fans are gonna have to fucking grow up and then start acting like humans, and stop, literally soiling our pants every time something comes up that's just not for us. Not everything's gonna be made for me, in any of these fandoms, and I have a choice not to go see it. But I don't have to piss on the parade of somebody who may take a liking to that and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I like Starfleet Academy. Maybe I like Lower Decks. I don't like Lower Decks, but I know people enjoy it. So the old school fans need to fucking grow up and act with some class when it comes to the fandom as a whole. As a whole. Like what you like. Preach what you like. Don't stop doing that. But understand that this thing, whatever it is, if it's been around long enough, it is going to evolve. And it may, guess what, evolve beyond you. And you have to make a choice as a fan. Do you want to stick around, or do you want to become irrelevant? Because on the business end of thing, you gotta move the scale. You have to embrace new fans, and you have to do it smart. I'm not saying completely blow up everything, but when there are certain changes about things, I'm not going to be like, well, that's not Star Trek. Lower Decks not Star Trek. That's not up to me. It's not up to me for me to tell somebody what's not Superman or Batman I tell you guys outright to dismiss my opinion when I talk about Batman the Animated Series. You know how I feel about that. But if that's Batman to you, that's Batman to you. I'm not going to not talk to you. I'm not going to make fun of you. I don't think you're a jackass. And I'm not going to say you're not a Batman fan. All right? And that's what needs to happen when it comes to the older generation. You just can't, it's gonna die. These things are gonna die and whittle on the vine if it's just us. All right. So no, I think, and not to hell with the old fans. I think the old fans need to say not to hell with everything else. We're here. We're established. We've had our fun.
Saying something similar to what Ray Flycast about Superman if the Tim Burton Superman movie came out, Superman fan would be a much healthier place. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was on the screen when he said that. I bit my tongue.
I mean, I
have nothing to add to that.
Having seen the the documentary from by the late John Schnepp from the apparently the Death Superman Lives, that because they showed like concept art and stuff they want to do. It's like I looked at like I'm kind of curious what the Superman movie will look like, but I mean I don't think that on its own would have like made Superman fandom any. I don't think it would have made it worse, but I don't think it would have made it better.
I actually think it had the exact opposite. I think it would have hurt. I think it would have been not irreparable damage, but I think it would have done significant damage. That looked awful. It looks awful, and when you put something out there like that, you poison your water. It takes you time to get that credibility back, and I thought that looked awful. Yeah, I will say the fact that we never got that. I think we dodged.
Best cameo in the Flash.
No, it's not. And by the fact, but that's not a high bar because those cameos weren't really done well. That's one of the problems. I love the Flash movie. I will defend the Flash movie. I know that it needs defending, but I thought the Chrono Bowl should have been handled completely different than the way they did it. I would be trying to make people forget that movie got as far as it did, let alone put it in anything on motion. But in any event, that I thought the Chrono Bowl, the potential for the Chrono Bowl, given what DC has done with that kind of shit, I thought they could have done that a little bit better. I thought their interaction could have been done a lot better, and I thought that the Chrono Bowl itself was a cool concept that didn't get enough time and wasn't really done well because of all the things that were going on in that movie. But yeah, that's just me.
What else we got here? Oh yeah, I'm always with you on this, Aaron. I even wrote a whole article on Fortress about this.
And if we were a martial arts channel, Aaron,
yeah,
would be right on board.
We'll read the article. I mean, this actually addresses a lot of that. What's this one? Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer was essentially a replacement for John Williams when it comes to Harry Potter now. A lot of old Potter fans seem to think Harry Potter theme will be changed.
Is he working on the show that's coming up?
Yeah, but see, Hans Zimmer. Okay, so here, and I don't think you have to worry about that, Aaron, because here's I got a beautiful example, and it's one of the best examples ever. Vangelis did the theme for Blade Runner. Now the second greatest science fiction movie ever created, in my opinion. Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfisch did the soundtrack for Blade Runner 2049. And I shit you not, as somebody who couldn't get the Blade Runner theme out of my head, he took what Vangelis did, in my opinion, and he amps it up. He does it, he adds his Hans Zimmer to it. But I can hear Vangelis into that because it's recognizable. So I think he may do the same thing for Harry Potter. Now, I'm not the biggest Potterhead, and I don't have a fleeting knowledge about Harry Potter at all, but I know there's millions of you out there. And there's going to be a lot of things that a lot of old Potterheads, or not old Potterheads, but they've handed that down to their kids too. So a lot of the new generation has seen all of this. So that brand recognition is not just for old Potter fans. That's now for their second and third generation. Hell, some of you Potter fans have grandkids now. Because when did those books come out? Harry Potter, when did the first Harry Potter book come out?
I think that was like 98 or something.
Okay, so if you were 16 and 98, how old? Well, you might not have grandchildren. You might be getting close. If you had kids, you got some kids that are reading it with you.
Is there potential for the new? I don't know. I don't know where the Ghostbusters franchise is.
It
wasn't a huge money-making franchise to begin with. I don't know what is the barometer to say let's do this. I don't know. What about you? I know you're bigger. You probably are a bigger Ghostbusters fan than I am.
Not so much. I mean, I like the original movie, but I mean, it's. I mean that's what made like the female one, the kind of the uproar that it was all about that. I was kind of more on the sidelines, like, you guys have at it. It's like I'll see it when it comes out, and it was weird for me to be kind of like be so blasé about on that because you would think I would be incentivized to really be not that excited about it because not almost a McCarthy fan here at all.
She's funny on like stand up and on like Saturday Night Live, but I can't watch
but the problem is she's got one joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really speak to that. I saw Searching Academy, Instant Credibility Killer. You can never talk about Brad Chase William.
It's doing well. I mean, listen. Once again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. You don't like it, that's fine. You or I can't determine what is Star Trek for an incoming person. I look like a fucking fool when I do that, and I hate when people do that. Well, I haven't watched Star Wars. I know what it is. No. You're a brand new Star Trek fan, 20 to 25-year-old Star Trek fan, is going to look at this through a different lens that I cannot look through. They are no less a credible Star Trek fan than me, or vice versa. So no, you're wrong there. And that's what I think needs to happen more. It happens in comic books all the time. It doesn't happen in comic book movies, unfortunately. But when you're a disciple of the Papers and Staples, we're a little bit more open-minded than this. Maybe because of the way comics come out. Usually when I get that ding, something's wrong.
Yeah. And Clint, no. Well, I mean, keep waiting because I have no plans to see this. And by the way, it's like because I caught a little bit of the Vodka stream last night that you guys were talking a little bit about, like apparently like Rush Hour 4 is like entering pre-production soon or something. See, I'm so dubious about that reporting because wasn't the whole reason it was greenlit was to be like a leveraging chip in the Paramount merger, and now that's not happening with them. Like, what do they even have? What's their incentive to go forward with it now?
You're asking the wrong guy. Because I think that is a horrible idea.
That's one where that's a franchise where I'd say, and I have sit on here where I say, yeah, that one's past its prime, and it's like, and you're not going to find a bigger Jackie Chan fan than the man you're looking at right now.
Yeah,
and if I'm like this, like, whatever about Rush Hour 4, I mean, what's the general public gonna think?
Yeah, I am not.
But yeah, Melania, it's like, I think I only even heard about that like within like a few days of it being released. So I'm like, okay, it's like I'm not. It's like work hard all week. I'm not spending my Friday night in my hard-earned money to go see a documentary about Melania.
What are you saying? There's such thing. No, it's not. That is not for you to ever determine. That is not for you to ever determine. You're gonna determine one fan's credibility to another. I want you to say that out loud and hear how bad that sounds. That's literally why fandoms are where they are right now. That's an awful take. And there's some shit out there that I think is absolutely just buffoon. And you know what? It's not for me. It is not up for one fan to determine the credibility of someone else's fandom. Like what you like and go on with it. You know what I mean? Now, if they're lying, like you get at somebody that says, "Oh, I've seen all the Blade Runner movies and I've seen all 4 of them," I'm like, "Oh, there's only 2." You're lying. That different. But when it comes to the opinion of,
have you heard anybody do that?
No. It's But if that would be where your credibility would die. But if you like something that somebody else doesn't like, it's subjective. All right, guys. I think that's hey, we're at 2 hours. I usually only do 90 minutes to that show, but
Brad and his fucking.
Well, because
rabbit
somebody
hole
brought up
discussion
like
is
a certain theme, and I had to
hour-
like bring a little bit of reason to the
hour-long.
conversation.
I knew that was going to happen.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to hold
Yeah,
myself
I
back
said,
when
"I
I hear
will."
such
As soon as I saw the
babbling on the
list over
show.
there, I'm like, Brad's got his pearls.
I
Brad's going to clutch 'em.
I knew it's like I had to like educate the audience tonight.
Don't touch my Superman.
It's like yeah, he's only been around for 80 years. It's like he can't survive
fine.
without this theme. It's like he hasn't had anything successful without it.
How dare they use a theme
It's
that's
like yeah, every single time it causes it to flop.
How dare the world not speak?
Like yeah, why can't we have new versions of this iconic character with his own theme? Yeah, here's
Fanboy
the
logic is fun, guys. It's fun.
here's the article. Aaron,
Aaron, is this a martial arts show?
Well, no, it's pertinent because the title is being a martial arts fanboy is more peaceful than being a superhero fanboy.
No, it is not. That just
yes, it is.
Your knucklehead is standing by viewpoint to what it does. That was a stretch. Hell.
We don't have to argue about like character themes and things like that.
We really kind of shouldn't be here. Now, like we said before when you brought this up, there's a discipline that goes with martial arts and a decorum that goes with martial arts that has been lost. That the comic book industry, us geeks in the stores and our as fans do, but it's the movie fan. It's the movie fan that has lost his mind because the movie fan connects with it on a possessive level. The movie fan connects how they feel and with this particular period of time to their childhood and something that they were going through their lives. And when they see it changed around, it's like, oh my God, you can't touch that. That's mine. It's not yours. The fucking movie that was meant for the public. You saw it and felt a different way, but guess what? Millions of other people saw it and feel a different way. And you have to understand that. Comic books, I've never really had that issue. And then things that has, like I said, you have literally discipline and honor and decorum built into martial arts. So that's a big advantage.
Well, I think I said also it's like simplicity. It as a genre benefits from simplicity. Not necessarily having like decades of like lore baked into it, which I mean, depending on if it's adapting a property that has that, then that can enter the equation. But and then again, there's also, I mean, there's never the argument that emerges like who's like a true fan or not. That it's like. Which with that's the worst part of any that's the worst side effect of any fandom, whether it's Star Wars or DC or Marvel or what have you, is fans challenging the authenticity of other fans.
I hope you were never at the helm of a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar thing where you have to market to the general public. Because right now, you guys have to understand you are having a conversation that mathematically isn't relevant. And now I'm not talking about any specific movie. In general, you would never do that when you're trying to appeal to the general public. You would never make yourself unfamiliar when you're dealing with the general public like that. Once you catch something on a brand, you generally work that in and you make your adjustments. You calibrate it. But yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, I think the biggest thing that we need to understand that there's a different conversation being had where the decisions are being made versus where the decisions are being talked about after the fact. All right. And a different qualification and different abilities in that conversation that are not necessarily here. We disqualify ourselves because of our bias, which is fine. But now when we try to apply that to why we can't understand why that person's making good decisions, because we're not capable, we're not qualified. Same reason why I'm not qualified to tell you about nuclear fission or brain surgery. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. I am the consumer in all those regards. So there you go. All right, guys. And yeah, retheme can be precious to you. There's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't mean it belongs to us and that it cannot be used in any frame. And when we start saying that kind of stuff, that's when we start, making that really small conversation. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. All right, guys. That's it for tonight. I will not be on the air tomorrow. We will be back for No Topic Tuesday. And then on Thursday.
And actually, there's something I wanted to. I was gonna bring up tonight. But I think I'll save it for Tuesday because it's already been going for like over 2 hours. So, but it's Well, it's an article I wrote, a comic book that I just thought it'd be like kind of a good rundown because it'll kind of touch on a lot of it's Superman, DC, Batman, Snyder related. I just thought it'd be kind of a cool rundown to have on the
stirring that shit up.
Yeah, no, it's I don't think it is. Okay, so basically, it's like the title of it is like here's 10 comic books to read if you like are a big Snyderverse fan. Like here's like 10 like comic book stories to read if you're a big Snyderverse fan. Like if you miss those Snyderverse deals, here's 2-1. And I thought, okay, that'd be kind of a good one to dive in.
Absolute. It starts all of them for me. So
yeah, well, that may have made it onto the list.
So,
there's at least one I imagine a lot of people are gonna be really surprised is on there. So, but if you guys want to, we could definitely well, not even if you don't want to, I'm bringing it up on Tuesday.
We can talk about it on Tuesday. We can talk about it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That is
definitely gonna bring that up because I'm very proud of that one.
All right, that's it. Good night. Have a safe into your Super Bowl Sunday if you guys are out there partying. And I will see you for No Topic Tuesday. Like, subscribe, share.
See you guys.
Kind of stuff. I hope I don't watch this show and anything I say. Oh well. See you guys later. Bye.